You've got ideas, you've got ambition, you've got no time, or so you think. I'm Marissa Lonick, and I help busy moms with big dreams and no time. Join me each week as I dive into time management strategies, goal setting and achieving framework, and inspiring guests who are juggling mom life, work life, fill in the blank life. Dreams don't work unless you do, and just because you're a mom doesn't mean you can't still make it happen, whatever it means to you. Welcome to the Mama Work It podcast. Hey, mamas. Welcome back to another awesome episode of the Mama Work It podcast. I am so glad you're here. If you are new in town, my name is Marissa Lonick, and I am the founder and your host of Mama Work It, where we support women in the juggle of mom life, work life, wife life, fill in the blank life. I'm so excited. I have one of my biz besties and friends back on the show today. She's been on the show before, and she's got so much wisdom and knowledge and just amazing energy to share with us. So she's back. Her name is Elizabeth Shafer. She's a mindset and confidence coach for women, teens, and the founder of Tandem Life Coach. She is so passionate about using her identity and voice to come alongside brave souls, helping them discover their inner greatness. And she and her husband have actually fostered 9 children and adopted 3 of them. So I invited her back because I know foster care is a topic that you want to hear more about. Elizabeth is an expert in this area and has so much experience and stories and good stuff to share with us about it. So I thought she'd make an excellent resource for our community. So Elizabeth, thank you. Thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
You pay a lot of money, so, sure, I'll pay. You pay the bill.
Don't spread those rumors. I paid her nothing. I pay her in hugs.
Compliments.
In compliments. There you go. There you go.
Bios.
Well, I do love to write. Okay. Well, all right, Elizabeth, for those who don't know you, tell us about your motherhood journey, your journey in general. You also recently published on the Mama Work It blog, which we will link in our show notes so that people can read more about your story as well. But give us the verbal version of kind of how your motherhood journey unfolded.
Okay. I'm going to do it as fast as I can. We went off birth control. We got married in 2006. And I always knew from a very young age I want to be a mom. Like 4 years old, my mom had these blue round pillows on our couch, and I'd put them in my stomach and I'd like make it a perfect, and I would just hold the lower back and like stroke it and look in the side. Like I just wanted to be a mom so bad. I'm in the middle of 5 kids. And my mom was always home. And so to me, that's what women did, is you had kids and you stayed home with them. And so I didn't realize that, but this is kind of backstory, but my identity was being a mom started very early. And so I couldn't wait. And then I literally was like, by the time I'm 19, I'm going to be married. By the time I'm 25, I will have 3 kids and a white picket fence. Like, I just was like, this is going to be my life. 19 came and went, and I'm so glad that it did, because that is having a baby. But I was one of my last of my friends to get married. I was 26, which by today's standards, that's not old, but it was back then. And right away, I was like, my husband, I was like, so my eggs are rotten. We got to do this. And he was 2 years younger and was like, I need some time. And so 3 years into our marriage, we said, 3 years, we'll start talking about it. And so I went to an appointment January 2009, and she said, it can take a while to get pregnant. So I suggest going off birth control to like let your body get used to it. So January 2009, went off birth control. I was so excited. I'm like, here we go. So it was kind of the whole not preventing, not trying method. But then by the fall, like nothing had happened. I wasn't getting pregnant, nothing. So end of November, I went to the doctor and they ran blood work. And on December 2nd, they called and they're like, congratulations, you're pregnant. And I was like, what? And they did a blood test. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? So it was like unreal. And then on Christmas Eve, I miscarried. And the doctor said, I'm really surprised you got pregnant because you have what's called PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And I was like so angry at God because I was like, oh, hold on. I'm not supposed to get pregnant. I got pregnant. You took my kid. Like I went through a very this is not okay. Shortly after, we decided, let's try fertility treatments. And I just had it in me to not do them. I'm a very controlling person. And I felt like when it came to kids, I didn't want to control that. And so I really was anti for my personality. I wanted to be like, God, you do it. Like, I don't want to intervene. Like, I had some weird conviction about it. But my parents were like, you got to do it. Like, mom was like, if God doesn't want you to get pregnant, you're not going to get pregnant on meds either. So I literally believe that I did it to make my parents happy because it was like, I felt stupid for not doing it, but I felt this inner conviction and like, no, this isn't your route. But I did it anyway. So for a year and a half, it was horrible on our marriage. It was anyone who's done any kind of fertility treatments. It's horrible. You get all the side effects of being pregnant, but you're not pregnant. You live by a clock. Your sex schedule is like a fireman. It's like 10 days on and then 20 days off, and it's mechanical. And it was hard on our marriage. It was hard on me. It was horrible. So then I've always had a heart for adoption. And I remember in high school being like, I want to adopt. And my husband wasn't really, he just was like, I'm fine not having kids, double income, no kids, score. And I was like, no. So we prayed about it, thought about it, and we decided to go through the foster care system because we thought, why spend thousands of dollars and go to another country when we have kids in our backyard that need loving homes? So that was March of 2011. We went to orientation, and then by October the same year, we got the call for my firstborn, Wyland, and he was exactly 1 week old when we picked him up. And that kind of is what started the journey with foster care and adoption.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for opening up and sharing that. I'm sure so many listeners can relate to the struggles of infertility and, having an identity so wrapped up in motherhood. I used to do that too with the pillows.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I know you said that you didn't want to spend the thousands of dollars. You didn't want to go across the globe because there were children in your backyard that needed loving homes. What made you ultimately decide that foster care was going to be the route that you took? Because there is always that risk with foster care. You went into it with the mindset of you wanted to adopt a child or children to be yours forever. But there's always that risk when you foster that they're going to be unified with their birth parents, right? And so what made you ultimately decide that this was the path you were going to take?
Well, at the time, first of all, let me say I had rose-colored lenses on. I don't think I fully knew what I was getting into. I mean, I absolutely did not. So for me, though, we were very actively involved in our church, and we had gone on a mission trip to Argentina, and we're just like, why are we paying money to go on mission trips across the world when we have people that need God's love in our backyard? Like, can we send our resources of what it cost us to come to this trip in our own backyard? And so my husband and I both were just like, this is our mission field right here, is our own, our culture. And so for us, that's why we chose foster care. We thought going to the classes, you're in the community, you go for several weeks, every week, meeting with the same people. So it's like, it gets us out of the church, it gets us into the community. And so we liked that aspect. And then I really was rose-colored lenses. It was just like, I never thought, because in my head I was like, well, we're going to adopt, so we're going to get the kids that are low risk. And it was kind of like, well, we'll be strong, we'll be fine. But then also I don't think that's going to happen.
It won't happen to me. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the process like if you do want to sign on to be a foster parent? How does someone get started? I mean, it sounds like there's training involved and this community outreach. Talk us through what that looks like.
So you want to look in your own city, because my thing is I would just Google like the process, but I know for California, there's an orientation. I have a hair in my eye. It was an orientation, and then from the orientation, you kind of hear big picture, and then you can move forward and you go to classes, you apply. I am not exaggerating the stack of papers we have to fill out. I mean, it's a part-time job getting through all the paperwork. It's background, it's family, and both of us fill it out. The other thing is it's like cholesterol checked, physicals, TB tests. I mean, the insanity to become a foster parent is like, I don't know how there's horrible foster homes with how much you have to go through. But so you go through the paperwork, you go through the classes, and then once you go through the classes, you have a social worker that's assigned to you as the parent. And they say, like, for us, she was like, all right, we're putting you in the pool. And then what happens is it's one of the hardest things was you have a list you check. Like, are you okay with cerebral palsy? Are you okay with drugs? Like, you have to say yes or no. You're like saying yes or no to children. And it's like so brutal. But for us, we're like, okay, what do we feel equipped for? Because we have to, like, for us, we had to remember, okay, there's people out here that feel equipped for X, Y, and Z. What do we feel equipped for? So we really had to do it like an objective. And then my husband's phone was the one the social worker had, because I would say yes to every baby. And so he was like the one that they would call to say, this is what we have going on. And Wyland was actually like the fourth call he got. So he had turned down because there was like SIP set of 5, SIP set of 3, like, I just would be like, okay, yeah, they need a home, let them come. But my husband was very much like, no, we've never been parents before. Like, what we said is we would take 1 to 2, but the youngest had to be a newborn. And so that was kind of what we said. And that's actually why we got Wyland, because he had a 2.5-year-old sister who was in foster care, and no one would take her because she had some attachment stuff. So we said yes, actually did visitations with her. But then what happened is her birth father got out of jail, and he got custody of her. So we never got her, had her come live with us. But that's why we got Wyland, because we were like the 5th call, because no one wanted to say yes to his sister. So it's just sad. It's like a really sad process. But you just want to go in knowing what you know you're equipped with, without guilt or like pressure. Like, there are people who specialize. Like, I have a friend who's a nurse, and she was like, give me the kids with high medical risk. Give me those kids. I'm equipped. I know how to take care of them. We were not there. We were like, no, I don't feel like, and it was no guilt. I was like, any drug exposure? Yes. But I knew there were certain things that I would not be equipped to do as well as others. So really taking off the savior complex and going, okay, what would be a good fit for you? Know that. And then just eyes wide open. Like, the whole thing, there's a whole hashtag that went viral, and it's get too attached. These kids, it's not their fault they're where they are. And you want to get attached. That's the point. Even if it's reconciliation in the end, you want to get attached because you want these babies to feel safe and loved and cared for. And so I think too, just keeping that in mind through the process of like, you're going to have to let your guard down, and it hurts when they leave.
Yeah. Yeah. Because your intent was always to foster to adopt. And you did this with 3 of your former foster children who are now your children. Mm-hmm. But you've had to say goodbye to others. Mm-hmm. So I can only imagine the pain, like the heartbreak you feel. Tell us more about that part of foster care. I mean, I love how you're saying, like, you do need to go all in. You do need to get attached because it's part of the role. But like, tell us the reality of what that's like as well.
Yeah. So this is probably going to make all of you not want to do foster care. And I do want to say too, because of my youngest was our last one, and my husband both were like, oh, she's going to be going back. Like, we were the most with her because of what we had gone through. And we're like, this is just going to be foster care. And we're here to be the foster parents and love her and embrace her. And so that was an interesting flip, but I feel like it was healthier because we weren't guarded. We loved her, but we were guarded in the sense of, like making sure she was healthy for her mom, not for us. So anyways, so when Wyland was 2.5, we went back in the pool, and we got a call for a little girl, and she was 9 months younger than him. And here's the problem, is I saw a picture. Like, you see a picture and you just can't say no. And I just was like, I'm done. I'm done for. And because Wyland was so easy, it was like mom relinquished her rights, and it was 14 months and no visits, like it wasn't a realistic picture. So I was like, oh yeah, we can do this. Like, we just go through the motions and then we adopt at the end. Well, the mom, long story short, I feel like you can't always trust social workers. They really want to find the system, not all social workers, but they want to find the system is find a home and tell them what the foster parents need to hear to say yes. And so this one was like, oh, this is a slam dunk adoption. There's no way this mom's getting her back. She needs a home. And I'm like, sweet, I have a boy and a girl. They're like twins. I can be done. Awesome. But mom showed up to every visit. Mom, I went on antidepressants. It got really dark for me because I'm like, this is nothing like it's been before. And mom had a baby, and the nurse, they called us to get the baby. We brought the baby home from the hospital, and the nurses were like, the mom is no way getting these kids back. Like, we just spent time with her. There's no way. So we were like, okay, great. And then a week later, 10 days later, my husband goes to court. I stay home because I'm with the babies. And in court, the judge just rules, enough is enough. Give these kids back to the mom. And within 24 hours, a white car was at our house, and we were packing up. And I was in the bathroom vomiting. My husband was out in the garage sobbing. And my sister actually drove out because she's like, wanted to help. And she just was going through the house with a white trash bag, picking up anything pink. And like, to this day, me and her cannot talk about that day without crying. Like, it was the worst day of my life. And I remember buckling up in the car seat, and she's like wiping the tears off my face. And I'll be back, because she thought she was going on a visit. And that was the last time I saw her. And I just remember it felt like a death. And I don't say that for parents that have lost death. Like, I know that pain, but we lost her and we've never seen her again. We had changed her name. We thought it was forever. And my little boy, that was her best friend, we had him go away to not be there. He came back. Where's Bella? Where's Bella? Oh, she's not anywhere. And so for me and my husband, we were like, what are we doing to our child? And I couldn't imagine that pain. And then I couldn't trust social services. So I was kind of a mess. And I remember that was October 2nd, and my husband was a pastor, and he's like, we just need to get through the holidays. We're not making any decisions. And I'm like, rebound. So I'm like, let's go get another. Like, I'm like, I need to fix this pain. And he's like, we're not making any decisions in this place. And so he's like, we're not even going to talk about what we're doing in the future until January 1st. Let's just get through this. And it was a really, really dark time. And so then I just remember feeling like, do we do IVF? Like, I will never do this system again. You can't trust that. I'm never going to do it again. And then it was December-ish. And it was like, okay, well, we can do private. And we surprised, like, out of nowhere, his grandma gave us a big check. And we're like, well, let's just use this and let's go private adoption. And that's kind of what we decided. We, like, December 31st, sat down and thought, we go, let's do this. And I just researched all the agencies, called, phone. I couldn't pull the trigger. I'm an activator, man. Once I decide something, I do it. And I couldn't. And I just remember I was praying, and God just so clearly was like, there's another one out there, like, for you. Like, that same system brought you your son. And I'm not done in that. Your family's not done. And I just was like, gosh. So I go to Jason, and he goes, are you sure? Like, are you sure? And I'm like, I really believe this is what we're supposed to do. And so we reached out to our social worker, and that was crazy because so let's see here. I think when I finally reached out to her, it was June. It was June. And she came over and I said, here's the deal. I don't want visits. I don't want parents involved. I said, I want a safe surrender, which is like a baby's been left at a hospital, fire station. I said, or I want a kid where rights have been turned. Like, we're not doing that again. And I will wait as long as I need to wait. And she said, I've been doing this for 20 years. That doesn't happen. I'm like, that's fine. We'll wait for the sake of my baby. And has lost his best friend and like, we're waiting. And she's like, okay. And I remember that night I went to church and I was sobbing. I was like trembling in fear. Like, what did I just sign up for? It was like this overwhelming. And the next day at noon, we get a phone call. And they said, hey, we have a baby here and you're next on the list. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, the baby was left here and biracial, half black. And that was the other thing too, is I really wanted, our oldest is half black. And I really wanted, because I'm in a white giant family with all these white cousins, I really wanted our kids to have a sibling that looked like them. And I'm like, wait, what? I just kept saying, wait, what? And she's like, yeah, like this is for you. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I call my husband at work and he's like, why'd they call you? I'm the one they're supposed to call. And I'm like, can you get over that? Like, can we just, so anyways, literally less than 24 hours, we're at the hospital meeting our second. And it was just surreal because this baby was everything we had asked for. And a lot of people, I guess, don't want safe surrender because they want to know medical history. And that wasn't important to me. And within 7 months, that one was adopted. And what's crazy is that baby was conceived the month we lost Bella. And I just feel like God saw us in our tears. And I always tell Marty, you're our beauty from ashes. So that was that one. It's getting kind of long, but the one that was the most painful is we brought one home, a little girl home. When Marty was 3 months old, a friend of ours in the church was like, hey, we know like this baby's going to be adoption for sure. It's mom's sixth baby, doesn't have any of them. And we're like, oh yeah, okay. And picked up the baby from the hospital. And fast forward, when the baby was 1.5 years, we reunited her. I dropped her off for her first overnight at a homeless shelter. She knew no fear, no hunger. I had to drop her off at a homeless shelter, and her mom was sending me pictures of her in a packing play in a giant gymnasium. And then she actually went reunified with her mom. That one would hurt. But the sad thing with that one is when she was 5 or 6, mom relapsed, and she's actually adopted into a different home now. So you have no control. The judge makes the decision, and social workers can make their recommendations, but it's the judges that ultimately decide, and the judges never see the kids. They just read papers.
Gosh, thank you so much for opening up and sharing that. Yeah. And it definitely does not feel like something for the faint of heart, mm-hmm. right? There's a lot of strength and resilience that needs to be built up in the process, but also quite rewarding in the same sense along the way. I got so many chills as you were telling those stories of just kind of how things really all happened for you, not to you, despite the pain that you needed to feel during those valleys
yeah.
and seasons.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is how my family was built, right? It's a love-hate relationship. If there was a store where little kids were on a shelf and you picked out your kids, I would pick out my kids. Like, they're the coolest kids ever. We ended up with 3, and they're all biracial. People ask all the time if they're biological siblings. Like, they get each other. And also they're very secure. Like, every once in a while, my 13-year-old will be like, well, maybe I want to meet my mom. And I'm like, yeah, well, we can decide if it's safe and appropriate. Like, I can try to find her. But they're very grounded. They all have their stuff because you can't, 99% of kids go into foster care because of drugs in their system when they're born. or abuse. And so all three of mine have their own challenges, but they're amazing and they're smart and they're fun. And it's how I built my family. I think for me personally, going back to the identity piece, when I couldn't give birth naturally, that really was like, I'm a failure of a human. Like, I'm a waste of space. Like, I'm supposed to procreate and I can't procreate. And that journey for me with God was so life-changing because it gives me my passion and my drive to sit with women on confidence and mindset, because we're more than moms. Like, I thought to be a woman, I had to be a mom biologically. Like, it took me a long time on Mother's Day to not feel like a fraud because I didn't biologically give birth. I didn't breastfeed. I didn't. And so for me, we as moms, we're not just moms. Like, it's a great thing that we get to do, a great role, but we have passions and dreams and the way that we're wired. And I look at moms who get lost in their kids and lose themselves. And my heart breaks because no, yes, awesome. You can be a mom, but that's not who you are. That's not your identity. And I think I learned that because of my journey. I learned that because I go, no, I'm not less of a person. I'm not incomplete. I still bring life into a room. I bring life out of dead spaces. I bring life when I walk into a conversation. I get to do that, and it doesn't have to be from my womb. And I wouldn't have learned that if things just went the way I thought I wanted them to go. And for me, I feel like that's like my greatest thing I walked away with is, there's a lot of pain. I feel like my marriage, we're still working through stuff. I mean, it's hard on the marriage, but walking away, I mean, I won the lottery. And whether that's just me personally, what I've learned, my heart, my compassion, my empathy, or it's the actual kids that I have, either way, like, it's worth it. But it is not for the faint of heart, and it will feel like you're dying inside. But you're not.
Yeah. Yeah. But what a tremendous impact you were able to have on those other children, even temporarily in their lives. Like, I'm sure they're going to remember you forever.
Yeah. Well, I know the one that was with us for the longest time. I still talk to her birth mom. Like, I have a relationship with her. I really built a good relationship. That's the other thing too. If you're going to foster, as long as it's safe and appropriate, if you can have a relationship with the birth parents, because I took her under my wing. I remember she was like, never had Panera, and I took her out to Panera. She had a really rough upbringing, and a lot of people just threw the towel. Like, no, dude, that's her. That's how she is. And it's like, no, she's a human. She's broken. This isn't who she is as a person. She's doing the best she can, but she's got demons. And taking her under my wing, because I remember even after she got custody of her daughter, she said, I don't want her to stay with me at this homeless shelter. Can she stay with you until I get into housing? So even after, the social workers were like, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that? Don't trust them. Like, foster parents, like, they're just going to want to steal your daughter. But we had built this trust that we kept the baby until she was into housing. And then even then, when she worked, I would babysit for the baby. Like, so building that relationship was huge. And I do believe that the foundational years, 0 to 2, I think that baby had stability and love. Even as an adult, I think that there's going to be elements of health because of that 0 to 2, no matter what she's gone through. So I hold on to that.
I don't know if you've read any of Rachel Hollis's books, but I remember, I think her first book, she has a whole chapter dedicated to her foster process. She went into it very similarly to you, of wanting to adopt, foster to adopt. And she had a situation where that was what she was said, like that was what was said to her, the picture painted. And when she went in with that mindset, and then, they were gone. I think she had twin babies or something at one point, and they got taken, reunified with their biological parents. And it was heartbreaking. And I mean, especially to have siblings in the home, I think that makes it even more heartbreaking. But I think you said something really critical and important is if you go into it with a different mindset of always kind of believing this is temporary and, you're doing this work for this time being, this season, right? To give this child safety and love and all those things and anticipating that reunification. I'm sure that's helpful sort of in that separation. I mean, I don't know. I haven't experienced that. And I can't imagine it takes away any of the pain, but at least your mind is in a different space to accept it and expect it, I guess, right?
Well, no matter what social workers say. So our daughter was with our daughter's case, our youngest daughter, it was open for 4 years. And the entire 4 years from beginning to end, the social workers were like, no, you're adopting her. She is not going back to her. Like, we just didn't believe it because of what we'd been through, and mom was doing what she needed to do. And it didn't matter what happened at court. We're just like, we're just waiting. We're just waiting. And thankfully, what was in the best interest of this little girl happened. Her case is horrible, but it's a social worker. Like, it's her auntie. It's Auntie Megan, and she still has a relationship with her. She comes at least once a month, takes her for the day, and she literally risked her job for this little girl. Everyone was telling her to give up, stop fighting. She's like, no, I am not going to stop fighting for this little girl. And I always tell her, I'm like, you saved her life. And so I do think social workers absolutely matter. So I really do, like, eyes wide open, but also being like, it doesn't matter what the social workers say. You have to be like, they're going to reconcile. And we're here to fill the gap. And also to be super sensitive. Like, I really believe that this is plan B. It's not plan A. Plan A is for kids to stay with their birth family. But unfortunately, that's not how it is. And so even when we adopt our kids, you're holding this, like, this level of abandonment they'll always feel. Birth parents don't want to lose their children or get them taken away, but they just are doing the best they can, and they don't have resources, or they don't like. So it's very much, you have to be able to be and both, like, hold two things at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes a very kind of objective, high level viewpoint to see where everyone's coming from in the situation, right? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Elizabeth, I know we could chat all day, but our show is only about 30 minutes. So we're going to hop over to lightning round, where we ask you some just random fun questions in case anyone doesn't already love you, just to get to know you a little bit better outside of this amazing role you already have. So are you ready?
I hope so.
Okay.
Let's do it.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Oh, my 10-year-old asked me this the other day. I would teleport, man. Like, if I want to see my best friend, bam. Like, people, driven by people. Teleportation. Absolutely.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
What book are you reading right now?
What book am I not reading right now? Can I admit that I'm reading the Court of Thorns series? It's very spicy.
You can admit anything you want on this show.
Well, some call it like fairy porn. I've never read anything like it before, so not gonna lie, it's on my shelf. My sister and my sister-in-law told me I needed it in my life. So I've got that. I also am actually reading a book. It's like a faith book by a Franciscan monk named Richard Rohr. I'm reading that. And then I'm reading a business book of the guy who started Toy Story. So I've kind of got...
Love it.
That I'm...
All aspects of who you are.
Fairy porn, building my business.
Faith-driven, all the things.
All the things.
All right, last question. If they made a movie about your life, who would you want to play you? I feel like they should make a movie about your life, by the way.
Thanks. As long as I get paid the big bucks. I really am always drawn to Reese Witherspoon for some reason.
Yes, I love her.
I really like her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, where can people find you if they want to chat with you, learn from you, work with you? You're a phenomenal coach. You've coached me. I'm so grateful for you.
Back at you, girl. Back at you. The world's better because we're in it, Okay, so my website is just tandemlifecoach.com. That has all my stuff. If you want, I try to post a little bit regularly. I've kind of gotten lazy, but Instagram, it's just Elizabeth J. Shafer. Those are probably the two easiest ways. But my website has my email and everything on it, so you can very easily get a hold of me.
Yeah, amazing. We'll link all that in our show notes today. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing your story, your wisdom, your experience. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to the Mama Work It podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and would love if you could take a quick minute to leave me a review on whichever platform you're listening from, and maybe even send a note to a fellow mama friend recommending it. Reviews and recs help this podcast grow and reach more like-minded, awesome moms. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click that button so we can stay in touch, girl. By the way, if you haven't checked out the Mama Work It website, please do. There are lots of free resources and great articles there that can help you with the juggle of work life, mom life, wife life, fill in the blank life. So head on over. Thanks again for being part of the tribe. I'll see you soon, but in the meantime, keep on working it, mama.